right? So activity based, it means whatever is the cost, right? If we want to find out the per unit cost, so it means base does matters. So what is the per unit labor cost? Okay, we know that. Okay, labor cost is we paid $1,000 to labor, right? Okay, he spent 8 hours. Sorry, not 10 hours. Make it more simple. It means his per hour salary is $100, right? Now, question is, it can be related to products. Okay, we paid 1,000. He produced 100 unit of products. Answer is then we paid on product wise $100 per product. Okay, it can be based on how machine hours, on the basis of machine work. For example, 10 hours. Not 10 hours, let's make it more. Yeah, 10 hours, for example. Even then, this is $100. So it means base play a very important role in calculating the per unit costs, right? It can be unit based, it can be miles driven, it can be labor hours, it can be machine hours, right? So we call this activity based. So it's a measure of what causes the incurrence of variable cost. Simple. It means on what basis we are finding the variable cost as per unit, either in the basis of machine, either in machine hours, either on the basis is our unit produced, either the basis is miles driven, either the basis is labor hours. So ladies, you understand? Aroni, Christine, sorry, Min, Sipade, Chandra.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, most of us students find it very confusing regarding what we talk about the activity base. What is this giant means and what is this jargon? So it is just the base denominator, which is the cause of numerator. That's it. Fixed cost, it means the fixed cost, the behavior of the fixed cost is that if the number of units are increased, my bad, if the number of units are increased, in total, the cost remains the same. So the behavior of the cost is, it is not proportional to the number of quantity. If quantity increase, cost remain the same, we call this fixed. If quantity increase, cost also increase, we call this variable cost. So what is the behavior of the fixed cost when it comes to per unit? So per unit cost is not constant, not fixed. It changes and changes as decreasing manner. So if you want to find out the per unit fixed cost, it's decreasing, downward sloping but decreasing rate, right? Now here comes a new thing, that is, do we have the types of fixed costs? Yes. Number one is committed. Number two, discretionary. Committed means, which means it's a long term, of course, and cannot be significantly reduced in short term. Simple. Which is, you already committed for 10 years, you already committed for 5 years, you already committed for 20 years, that's it. Like the depreciation, right? Like the rent, you committed for 5 years. Okay, you are building a you are renting a factory for 5 years, or you are renting a head office for 5 years. It means 5-year rent is already committed. So it's in the contract that, okay, we are going to pay you the rent, $1,000 plus 10% annual increment. That's it, right? Similarly, the real estate taxes committed for long term, right? Discretionary. right? Discretionary means it may be, the nature is maybe, the long term, but it has a short term perspective of non commitment. If everything is fine, like in PhD, what happened? If everything is fine, we are giving you 2 years discretionary. We are giving you funding for 2 years, and your PhD going to be completed in 5 years. So it means after 2 years, they have a discretion whether to discontinue, or your topic is not that good, your topic is not the requirement of the PhD program, research program, whatsoever, right? So we are discontinuing your research. That's it. Funding of your research. That's it. Right? Similarly, with the companies that have outsourcing decisions. For example, we are making, we are outsourcing the product. For example, the Boeing 707, they are importing, engines from Rolls-Royce, right? So they have a commitment for 20 years, but what happened after 10 years? They have a clause over there, okay, we find improvement or not, and there is new engine that came that beat the Rolls-Royce engine. So you can say that, okay, we are discontinuing buying from you. This is mentioned in our annual general meeting. We are not longer having a partnership with you. We are changing our partner. So we are not paying you the research and development facility, all those stuff. Similarly with the drug department, like vaccination, right? So different companies, they have set up their research and development, division. So they have this discretion to not to fund, but if they fund, that fund cannot be recovered. Plus, that fund have nothing to do with the production, right? If you produce 10 unit of vaccine, 20 unit of vaccine, millions of vaccines, it has nothing to do with the research and development. You already paid millions and billions of dollars on that research. So the question is, even if the cost is like, the total cost, if you see on the year wise basis, like rent, in 1 year you pay 1,000, next year you pay 11,000, 1,100, next year you pay 1,200, next year you pay. So if you want to see that one, so this is a curve that is non-linear, right? But in some ranges, it behaves like a linear stuff, like I told you. You see, this range, it is behavior like a linear stuff. So if some cost, we see that, I think this concept will be, very much relevant to mixed cost when we, go over there and explain. That would be more good. Let me just see over there. I think not. Okay, let's talk about it. So in some areas, in some, business practices, we see that some costs are fixed up to certain limit. We also see in commercial electricity bills as well. Okay, if you use 400 units of electricity, your per unit going to be charged as 2 yuan per unit, or 12 yuan per unit, right? If above 400 to 500 units you used, we will charge you 20 yuan per unit. Your bill would be now how much above the 400, that will be charged with 80. If your bill is 450, 400 multiplied by 12 and 50 multiplied by 80. If your bill is 600 plus, we will charge you 30 yuan per unit. So you see, in that case, the electricity cost is not that fixed, right? Electricity cost, in some countries, electricity cost considered as a fixed cost because it is state controlled enterprise. So whatever you use, you will be charged, for example, on a per, on for example, minimum, or even if you don't use the electricity, you have to pay 20 euro, and above that one, maximum you can pay 80 euros. That's it. So in that case, you have a non-linear function. But even that long linear function, you can find out some relevant range which behave like a straight line. So this is more mathematical concepts. So I'm not wasting more time here. Just going to tell you that there are some ranges in which the variable cost behave like a relevant range, like a fixed cost. So let's talk about this. So finding out the fixed cost and the relevant range. So you see that we have example here. Assume office space is available at rental for 30,000 per year and incremental of 1,000 square feet. For example, if you wanna rent an office, minimum rent in the in square feet perspective, you can rent for 1,000. And in 1,000 square feet, for example, you can make small cabins of like 20 small cabins, right? This kind of cabins. But what if your employees are now increased to 25? Can you increase to 200 square foot? No, because rental is you can rent with proportion to 1,000. So it means whether you want to hire one person or want to hire another 20%, the rent would be the same. If you hire to 5% and you don't have much space, so how much space you need? You contact your agent and he can only find you 1,000 square feet office, because office rent is only available in 1,000 square feet. So it means cost is just jumped up on on range wise, because it's not relevant to the increment of number of units of the employees. Understand? So just giving you the taste. So this is called the relevant range. And if you utilize this 1,000 square foot area, any additional worker you want to hire, you still have to hire at least 2,000 square foot. So this jump, or a sudden jump in fixed cost, we call this a relevant range. So the behavior of the variable cost in total is changes in per unit cost, it is constant. In fixed cost, the total is like fixed, is constant, but when you convert it into per unit basis, it changes in a way, it always decreases but never touches to